Are you ready to cry and be inspired? Sorry. You'd only cry and be inspired if you've heard the episodes that I'm going to be reviewing today. I can't promise you'll do any of those things while watching this video. If you haven't heard any of the new Adventures in Odyssey Club episodes, you're missing out. The club's been around for about 4 years, and some of the club episodes are some of the best episodes in AIO history. Today, I'm going to be reviewing One More Name, parts 1 through 3. Let's get started. It's been a while since we've heard a parental warning on an episode. I think the last one that had one of those was The Launch, part 2. All 3 parts of One More Name had a warning at the beginning, which made me like them even more. As we all know, when there's a parental warning on an episode, it's gonna be a good one. Even though I wish this historical story was told through the gallery, I'm glad Dr. Graham was the one to tell the story. Dr. Graham is really becoming a more three-dimensional character than Dr. Morton ever was. I don't know if I've ever heard a Polish accent in an audio drama before, so it took me a little while to really understand what the characters were saying, but it didn't really take long to get used to it. There's quite a lot of suspense in these episodes. The scene where Irina takes Esther through the courthouse really keeps you on the edge of your seat. I didn't really think she'd get caught the first time, but I wasn't sure. Plus, the illustration for that scene really adds more doubt. I was kind of surprised that names like Catholic and Protestant were brought up in these episodes. It's very rare that names of denominations are spoken in AIO, but I can see that it was needed to show the difference between the Jews and the people that they're supposed to be like. The last scene of part 1 with Aaron and his mother really got to me. I really teared up listening to that heart-wrenching performance by Jessica G. George, who played Mrs. Rotfield. Even though she wasn't a big part of this episode, I think she was the best actor from all 3 parts, next to Christina V, who played Irina. Also, hearing Aaron talk to his mother from the laundry sack was just heartbreaking. I didn't really know the significance of it when I first heard it, but part 1 ends with the sounds of trains in the background, which is a great setup of what happens in part 2. It's amazing to think about the many different ways that Irina used to smuggle children out. Toolboxes, luggage, ambulances, coffins? Wow. I later found out that she had a dog with her a few times, to bark to cover up the sounds of the children, and to create distractions. I don't know if I was the only one to draw this parallel, but when Shoshana does not allow Ariella to go with Irina, it reminded me of a story in the Bible. Jacob would not allow his son Benjamin to go to Egypt to help save his family. It wasn't until Jacob's family was very near starvation that he finally gave in. That's kind of like what happened with Shoshana, who waited too long and almost had Ariella die with her. I was surprised and not surprised that Mr. Zagata was actually a code name for the people helping the Jews. I wonder if Corey and Irina ever met. Both women were great heroes from World War II. Even though it was one of the darkest times in history, it's my favorite period of history to study because of the many stories of courage and bravery in the midst of so much evil. The scene in the sewers was one of the best scenes from all 3 episodes. Ariella's comparing it to the Red Sea crossing was cute. I love how she started to recite the Lord's Prayer and the others joined in with her. I just wish we could have heard them say the whole thing. One thing that really bugged me about this episode was that it was never really explained how they all got into Itzhak's truck. I can only assume that they somehow snuck in while the officer was distracted. I just wish it was explained better and didn't leave me wondering what happened. The scene at Irina's house with Stefan was really sweet. We had a hint at the romance in part 1, but this scene explored that a lot more, in a clever way with some great humor, including the beautiful China code. With Odyssey being geared toward kids, I think the events surrounding Irina's capture and torture was handled very tastefully. However, if this was a radio theater production, we'd probably hear more details about Irina's interrogation. Probably my favorite scene from all 3 parts was when Irina was talking to the reporter in jail about the words that her mother had given her. When I re-listened to all the episodes again, I finally noticed how many times Irina did say, "Trust me," instead of telling others to trust God. "Jesus, I will trust in thee." Wow, what a simple but profound statement that sums up our walk with God. I loved hearing how God provided for the 2 women by using the Nazi officers' children to help smuggle them potatoes. It's amazing how the Lord works, even in the lives of children. I really did not know if Irina would be executed or not. I thought somehow she might survive, but since I didn't know her whole story before this episode, it kept me in suspense. While listening to part 3, I started to remember a few things I learned about her in a world history class I took, but I really didn't learn much about her. And I didn't remember the name Irina Sendler. It rang a bell, but not very loudly. The montage with the survivors thanking Irina for saving them really brought me to tears. It was so beautiful and moving. It amazes me at how many people she saved. 2,500. That's just incredible. No doubt, God used her in more ways than she ever dreamed he would. It brings to mind a verse in the Bible. In Genesis 12:3, it says, "And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee, and in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed." Irina Sendler is certainly someone who blessed the Jewish people. Surely God blessed her with a long life, and with having one of the kids that she saved be her nurse when she was old. However, those things are nothing compared to the rewards waiting her in heaven. Closer to the end of the story, I suspected that Dr. Graham was connected to the story somehow, but I was not expecting it to come out the way it did. It was neat for a little while that she was the daughter of Ariella, but it kinda cheapened the story a little bit. I know there was many children that Irina got attached to, but to make a fictional character from Odyssey so closely connected to her, I don't know. Maybe there was a girl called Ariella that was saved? Or maybe she is just part of the creative license that the writer took. It's pretty hard to rate each of these episodes separately. However, as a whole, all 3 parts are certainly worthy of 5 stars, which is what I'm giving them. These are some of the best Odyssey episodes ever, and certainly some of the best episodes that Kathy Buchanan has written. Enough of what I think. What did you think of these episodes? Did you know about Irina Sendler before hearing these episodes? Let me know in the comments section. If you haven't heard these episodes yet, you can get a free 14-day trial to the Adventures in Odyssey Club so you can hear them. There's a link for that in the description. If you'd like to hear another great story from World War II, I recommend that you get Focus on the Family Radio Theater's dramatization of The Hiding Place, which tells the story of Corrie ten Boom. There's links in the description for that too. Before I go, I just want to say thank you to all of you who subscribe to my channel. If you haven't yet, you can do so now so you won't miss a single video. Do widzenia!